What's up, guys? Eli here, back for a new stuff video. All 2023 releases. It's Thanksgiving night. I've had a little bit to drink. Not a ton. I'm not a huge drinker, but this should go smoothly. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, stack of 2023 releases. We got like 4 black metal albums, 3 death metal albums. So let's take a look. So oddly enough, the first 3, which are all black metal releases, Hammerheart Records, all came from Dutch metal label. I kind of always thought of Hammerheart as a black metal label, but they've released death metal and other stuff too. But I don't know, they've released some cool stuff this year. I mean, they've always been a good label, but this year they've caught my eye a couple times. So we're gonna start with, from the Netherlands, also, Salacious Gods. This came out on October 6th. Album is called, I'm not going to pronounce that because no American can pronounce anything in Dutch. I think we know that. So, they formed, like I said, in the Netherlands back in 1994. This is their 4th full-length album, and first since 2005. They've had some lineup changes, including a new vocalist just this year. He's really good, by the way. This is a really, really good album. I'd say definitely check it out if you like it. Check out their older stuff. I've always been a fan of their debut. It's from like the mid or late 90s. I don't own a copy, but I've always liked it. I've never once in my life seen or heard anyone talk about this band. I'm not trying to say like I'm some metal historian, but yeah, they're just not a band that people talk about frequently, I would think. This is just really, really good. I mean, this sounds like a veteran black metal band on top of their game. Production is nice and clear for what it is. It's not super raw by any means. It's not overly polished or overly produced. I would say this kind of sounds like black metal from maybe, 90s black metal from the Scandinavian region, Norway/Sweden. At times, I'm really, really reminded of stuff like really rockin' black metal stuff. Like some of it's, real fast black metal. Some of it's, slower, groovy rockin', kind of like Kraft from Sweden, who I'm a big fan of. So I'm getting some kind of Kraft rockin' vibes. I mean, this is just impeccably written black metal. Everyone here shines. The guitar riffs are just complete, perfect black metal guitar riffs. The drumming. The drummer here is excellent. The songwriting it couldn't be better. This is just an orthodox black metal album that is just, it couldn't possibly be better than this. I don't know how else to describe it. If you like your black metal, kind of no frills, but still kind of old school in style, just definitely check this out. I know the name might be a little weird to some people. It doesn't matter. It's a really good album. Their old stuff is good too. I haven't heard all of it, but their debut, I've been a fan of it for a long time. This is good stuff. Black metal fans, get on this. If you haven't heard it, if you have, let me know. And then I had a total blind buy. This band is called Jord. Album is titled Tundra. So this came out November 3rd. This band they formed in Sweden around 2021. They might have formed earlier. I'm not sure. I couldn't actually find an exact start date, but they had an album as early as 2021. This is their 3rd album. They list their influences as bands like Alcest, Enslaved, Catatonia, Opeth, Emperor, Marduk, and the Sisters of Mercy. I've only really kind of just started to let this soak in, but I really dig it. On the first listen, I'm not getting all of those influences, but this is just one of their 3 albums anyways. I'm definitely getting vibes of like early Enslaved, early to mid-period Enslaved, or God, even some slightly later. I'm getting vibes from like maybe early Borknagar, early to mid-period Borknagar, stuff like that. I mean, I really dig this. Again, I'm still letting it soak in. I'd never heard of this band. They're not even on the Metal Archives yet. Someone needs to add them, I guess. But for a band that I'd never heard of and a total blind buy. In my opinion, this is a gem, but still needs more listens. I'm hoping this is going to make my top 10 by the end of the year, but it's a little too early to say because I'm still cramming. I still have a whole bunch of albums to listen to form a top 10, and we'll see. And another band that I'm a pretty long-time fan of, we got Divisor. This came out actually on February 10th, titled Evil Summons Evil. This is a Greek black metal band I've listened to for quite a number of years. They formed in Greece back in 1989. This is their 5th full-length album. People that have delved deep into Greek black metal probably know their first album or two. If you don't, I hate to say it, you have not delved very deep into Greek black metal, in my opinion. This is just really, really good. I've always thought Divisor, they do kind of have that Greek sound, but they differentiate themselves from, bands like the Rotting Christ and Necromantia. They are a little bit more melodic, a little bit more symphonic. I wouldn't call them symphonic black metal, but they use keyboards a little bit more than, some of their Greek counterparts. This is, just imagine like Dimmu Borgir when they were really good if they were to come from Greece. That's a lazy comparison, but it'll do. Their early stuff is great. I haven't heard their last album or two. I kind of lost track of them for a while, but this is absolutely killer. This is one of my favorite black metal albums that I've heard this year. That said, I haven't heard them all. I haven't even heard really all that many, but it's one of my favorites, and I like it a whole lot. Again, if you like Greek black metal and you haven't heard Divisor, you didn't do it right. So check this album out. Definitely check at least their first album out. Even their first two would be preferable, but they're just a great Greek black metal band that never really got the recognition of something. And then we've got one I've been waiting a long time to hear. Finally got my hands on it. This came out in back in May 26th. This is Ruim, with the title being Black Royal Spiritism. So Ruim, the reason I wanted to hear this is a band that formed in both Portugal and France back in 2020. A two-piece band featuring Blasphemer from Mayhem, ex-Mayhem at this point, and a drummer called CSR from a band called Thagirion, who I haven't heard, but I'll definitely check out. I am a fan of Blasphemer, although a lot of the stuff that he's done that I've kind of randomly checked out over the years that wasn't Mayhem involved, I haven't really been a fan, but I like what he brought to Mayhem. He's an incredible guitarist and songwriter, and so he's done a lot of stuff over the years. He left Mayhem a couple years back. He's done a lot of stuff that's kind of different from what you would expect from him, which is totally cool. But this right here, this Ruim, this is back to what he did in Mayhem, specifically, in my opinion, Grand Declaration of War. Now, I like that Mayhem album. I know a lot of you don't. I know that some of you do. I guess I couldn't say I always thought it was cool. The first time I heard Grand Declaration of War, I hated it. That said, it grew on me. I absolutely love it now. I think it's kind of a masterpiece in its own right. This is kind of hearkening back to those Grand Declaration of War days, minus the kind of weird, those weird maniac vocals where he's doing the kind of like, I don't know, the spoken word stuff. It's not quite like that, but it is. Other than that, this is kind of like, Blasphemer's time in Mayhem. I think that really reflects here. This is almost like his Mayhem album that's also kind of a solo album. I don't know what else to call it. Came out on Peaceville Records. I think it's really good. I still haven't spent a lot of time with it, but I'm kind of blown away by it. It is what I wanted it to be in a lot of ways. But there's a lot of layers to uncover here, and I think it's a killer album. I'm seeing some people talk about it. Not a ton, but some. And, I've heard mostly positive things. I definitely would recommend it. And another album via Peaceful Records. I've already reviewed this. I'm slurring my words here. The new Autopsy album, Ashes, Organs, Blood, and Crypts. This came out back in October 27th, I think. What's to say about this band? I mean, they formed in Oakland back in 1987. This is their 10th full-length album. It's really, really strong. I like it a hell of a lot. I do completely recommend it. I like it more than their last album, which I didn't think it was bad. And to be honest, I think I might like this more than their last couple albums. The songwriting here is just particularly strong. What else can I say? It completely sounds like Autopsy. Are there going to be any surprises to find on here? Probably not, but if you're a fan of Autopsy and you just want another Autopsy album, you are not going to be let down by this album, so check it out. And another album that I reviewed recently, the new Tomb Mold, Planetary Clairvoyance. Oh, no, that was one of their old albums. The Enduring Spirit. And I dropped it. Came out on September 15th via 20 Buck Spin Records. This band formed in Toronto, Canada, back in 2015. This is their fourth full-length album. This album sees the band kind of taking a bit more of a progressive, bit more of a technical approach. Like I said in my review, they've always been a pretty tight band, but this sees them upping the technicality, and I think it's pretty cool. I definitely recommend it. I really am looking forward to hearing what they do next. I hope on the next album they're even upping the technicality that much more. Really looking forward to it. Tomb Mold, cool band in my opinion. Check it out. Probably my favorite of this entire stack. This one really took me by surprise. We have Afterbirth with In But Not Of. It came out on October 20th via Willowtip Records. This band formed in Long Island, New York back in '93. This is their third full-length album. They started off kind of more of a meat and potatoes, New York-style brutal death metal album. The last couple albums, at least as far as I'm concerned, maybe a little earlier. I haven't followed this band for a super long time, but they have been taking more progressive and more technical approaches. No longer being that meat and potatoes brutal death metal band. They are now like a full-on, technical death metal, and I think this album is incredible. I'm not going to be able to describe it. I mean, this kind of death metal for me is hard to put into words. This is probably my favorite technical death metal album in the last 3 or 4 years, maybe longer. Again, I bought it because I knew the name. I had some of their older stuff when they played more meat and potatoes, brutal death. But I'd heard that they took a more, a progressive approach as of late, but I hadn't really heard any of it, so I didn't know what to expect. But this blew me away with how good it is. I thought, honestly, it was amazing, and I've only listened one time. It's going to get a lot more listens. I can almost assure you this is going to make my top 10 at the end of the year, but we'll see. I can't say that for sure now, but I expect this to make my top 10. It's that good. If you're a fan of progressive or technical death metal, you have to hear this. You have to. If you don't, you're just really doing yourself a disservice. So. Anyways, guys, that was a nice stack of albums to talk about. All total gems, in my opinion. Let me know if you heard any of those, and if you haven't, do you plan on checking any of them out? I can recommend fully all of them, but definitely that Afterbirth album, and definitely that Divisor. Those are probably my two favorites so far. So, anyways, I hope you guys are doing good. Hope you had a good holiday if you live here in the U.S., and we'll talk soon, huh? Cheers, guys.